So you're thinking about moving to San Diego, but you're concerned about a few things. Well, in today's video, I'm going to tell you the 5 reasons not to move to San Diego, which is probably not what you would expect coming from a real estate guy, but I'm going to keep it real, right? It is not all sunshine and rainbows, whether it be here in San Diego or anywhere else. There's always going to be some pros and cons to everywhere that you live. So in today's video, I'm giving you the 5 specific reasons not to move to San Diego. My name is Kyle Whissel, your guide to living in San Diego, and I am one of those rare San Diego natives, born and raised in San Diego. I've lived here for 40 years, so I got a lot of experience living in San Diego, and I want to share that experience with you. So if you're thinking about making that move here, you can make an educated decision if it's the right fit for you and for your family. So let's dive into the list. Number 1, public transportation sucks in San Diego. We do have buses, but buses in San Diego, the routes, they're very, very sparse. There's not a whole lot of routes. You might have to take 2 or 3 different buses to get where you need to go. So bus routes are just not really strong here in San Diego. And then we have a rail system of what's known as the trolley. Now the trolley takes you to some of the hot spots in San Diego. The new Aztec Stadium called Snapdragon Stadium used to be where the Chargers played, now where the San Diego State Aztecs football team will play. It does take you there. It takes you to San Diego State College campus. It'll take you to Petco Park where the San Diego Padres play. And if you take the trolley and then you go to a game, you'll probably be like, oh, the trolley is great. It's really nice. But if you get on the trolley outside of going to one of these games, it is not so nice. I can tell you, I personally felt quite uncomfortable being on the trolley, as the crowd that the trolley tends to draw, not exactly the ideal crowd. So now it does depend on the route. There's a couple different routes. They actually just added a new route, or a new line as they call it. There's a green line, an orange line, a blue line, a red line. The new blue line is really cool. This one will actually take you up into some of the really nice parts of San Diego. It'll take you to the UCSD campus, which is University of California, San Diego. It will also take you to the UTC shopping mall, or University Town Center, which is one of kind of our luxury malls here in San Diego. So that blue line might be an exception. I haven't actually ridden the blue line yet, but blue line's going to be a good thing. The other lines, a little hit or miss. So overall, it's just not easy to get around. If you're from, somewhere like a New York City where there's, subway system that could literally get you anywhere you want to go, like this is not what you're used to. The public transportation is definitely a weak spot for San Diego. Number 2 on the list, we can't hide from this one, it's the cost of living. It is very, very expensive to live here in San Diego. Everything is more expensive. We're shooting this video here at the beginning of 2022. You're talking, our median price to buy a home here in San Diego is north of $800,000. It is very pricey. A lot of times it's referred to as the sunshine tax. You pay a premium to live in San Diego where you have amazing weather. We're sitting here in the middle of January when I'm recording this, and it's like 70 plus degrees outside. Meanwhile, I've got friends on the East Coast that are buried in 7 feet of snow. So you do pay a premium for it, and everything's more expensive. Gas is more expensive. Everything, childcare is more expensive. You're just going to pay a lot more money for everything here in San Diego. So you got to be prepared for that. The flip side of it is, minimum wage. If you're coming from another state, you'd be blown away. Minimum wage, you're talking $15, $16 an hour for minimum wage. So you could be working at McDonald's, making $30,000+ a year working at McDonald's. So if you're coming from, especially down in the South, like a Georgia where minimum wage is, well under $10, that could be, a nice shock to you. So we have families who, are working to minimum wage or close to minimum wage jobs that actually can't afford to buy a condo here in San Diego. So that's kind of unique. So while it is a lot more expensive, you do tend to make a lot more money on the flip side of that. Number 3 on the list is the income tax. We see a lot of people leaving San Diego or leaving California in general because California has one of the highest state taxes in the entire nation. If you're in the top income tax bracket here in California, you're talking 13.3%. income tax on top of the federal income tax. So for those that are at the highest income bracket, you're combined over 50% between your federal and your state income tax. That's a big hit. So we have seen people leave California and go to either the low tax states like in Arizona or Colorado, or going to no tax states. Especially lately, we've seen a lot of people going to Nevada, to places like Las Vegas and Reno. We see a lot of people going to Texas, to Tennessee, to Florida. Those no tax states have become very, very popular for Californians that want to save on that 13.3%. So that's another one of those kind of sunshine taxes. Not only is the cost of your house going to be higher, but you're going to pay higher income tax. So keep that in mind. Number 4 is the lack of seasons in San Diego. I just mentioned it's January. It's like 70 something degrees outside. You don't really get 4 seasons here in San Diego. Some people will talk about you get summer and not summer, and that's about it. Average temperature in San Diego, basically from, let's call it May until November, most days you're gonna be in the 70s or 80s. Every once in a while you'll have a day in the 90s, or if you're in the inland parts of San Diego, it might break 100 from time to time, but for the most part, you're in that like 60 to 80s range. Even in the winter months, you're rarely gonna have a day where the high temperature is below 60. 60 to 80, like that's just that year-round temperature here in San Diego. There's actually companies called like 75 and sunny, because that is what you can expect virtually every day of the year here in San Diego. So again, it's a sunshine tax because it's sunny all the time here. It maybe rains 10, 20 days a year. I mean, it rarely rains here. It never snows here. With that said, snow is available if you in the winter months, if it's a cold or rainy day in town. And again, cold, I'm talking like 50s, a cold rainy day in San Diego, you could drive up to areas like Julian or Mount Laguna, where they'll sometimes get snow, or Mount Palomar, they'll get some snow, which those areas are about an hour drive outside of downtown. And those are areas like little mountain towns where you can go and go sledding and throw snowballs around and go eat at cool restaurants. If you ever go to Julian, you gotta check out Mom's Apple Pie. They make the best apple pie I've ever had in my life, so check out Mom's Apple Pie. Some good friends of mine actually opened up a pub at Lake Cuyamaca, which is up in the mountains near Julian, so stop there and get lunch or grab dinner on your way home from the mountains. So you can get some of that snow, or you could drive about 2.5 to 3 hours to a place called Big Bear, which is up in Riverside County. And so 2.5 hour, 3 hour drive, you could actually be in a small mountain, but actually you have a couple ski resorts. You got Snow Summit and Big Bear Mountain Resort up there, so you could go snowboarding and skiing at Big Bear. Now, if you're coming from like Utah and you're used to like Park City or Aspen in Colorado, like you're used to these real big mountains, you're probably gonna be pretty disappointed with Big Bear. If you're really good, you could go top to bottom in 5 minutes. So it's smaller, but Big Bear's a cool town. It's fun to get away for a weekend when they get dumped on with snow up there. So you're also not going to get a lot of the changing of the leaves. You don't have the real pretty, like I have a house in Tennessee, and I was up there, in November, and it was so pretty just seeing all the different reds and oranges and everything is super pretty. You don't really get a lot of that here in San Diego. It tends to just be green or brown. There's not like an in-between or changing of the seasons here. Which brings me to number 5 on the list. Wildfires are a real thing. Wildfires and earthquakes. Now, earthquakes, honestly, I'm 40 years old, and I can only remember 2 earthquakes that really were memorable. Most of the time, an earthquake, you sit in your chair like, oh, you look around, was that an earthquake? And you see if anybody else felt it, and they're like, yeah, that was an earthquake. Oh, big deal. There's maybe 2 where something actually fell off the shelf. That's it. The houses that are here are built to withstand earthquakes. It's very rare you'll see damage from an earthquake. It just doesn't happen a lot. So earthquakes aren't something that I'm particularly scared of. Now wildfires is another story. That's a very real thing. So like I mentioned, we don't get a lot of rain here in San Diego. As a result, as I said, you go from green to brown. So, in the summer months, we could go months without a single day of rain, and everything gets really brown. And all it takes is, one small little thing, whether a power line goes down, or some idiot throws a cigarette out the window, or kids are playing with fireworks, or a homeless encampment, goes ablaze. Like fires are a very real thing. So that is something you really do have to think about here in San Diego, the choice of where you live. Fires are a big concern for you, make sure you're in an area that's not, surrounded by a lot of brush. We have a lot of rules around brush maintenance and making sure you have defensible space. And there's a lot of things you can do to minimize that risk. But just know the further east you get in San Diego, the fire risk tends to go a little bit higher because things are spread out a little bit more. We get these things called Santa Ana winds, which we're having today, which is where instead of the wind blowing from the ocean across San Diego, it blows the opposite direction from the deserts to the east of us and blows toward the ocean. So normally it blows away from the ocean, and when you get to Santa Ana, it blows the opposite direction. Well, when you get those Santa Ana winds, that's a lot of times when that fire risk gets higher, where a small little spark mixed with some very dry brush leads to a big fire. So fires are a very real thing, so just be conscious of that if you are moving here to San Diego. Make sure you're in an area that you're comfortable with, and if you're in a higher fire risk area, use defensible space, have ice plan, and don't have a lot of dry brush, maintain your weeds, all of that stuff to minimize that risk. And there's parts of San Diego, actually the house I personally live in, I can't get traditional fire insurance. I had to get a state issued plan based on how high the fire risk is where I personally have chosen to live. So that's something you got to be conscious of. Your insurance can be a lot higher if you're in some of these higher risk fire areas. So there you go. Those are my 5 reasons you should not move to San Diego. If those are reasons that make it not make sense for you to move here, hey, at least you know, right? I'm that realtor who wants to keep it real with you and not BS you and pretend like it's all sunshine and rainbows every day. So if I haven't scared you out of living in San Diego, you're still like, I don't care about that, I'm good with it, let's go, I want 75 and sunny every day, I want to be able to snowboard in the morning and surf in the afternoon, I don't want to deal with the snow, I'll drive to the snow, I'm good with it. Well, hey, we got you covered. If you are thinking about making the move to San Diego, my team and I would love to be your guide to living in San Diego. Give us a call, shoot us a text at the number below. That'll connect you with my team where we can learn a little bit more about you, what your goals are, and build a plan to help you accomplish those goals. Again, my name is Kyle Whissel with Whissel Realty Group, your guide to living in San Diego. If you enjoyed the video today, make sure to like it, let YouTube know you enjoyed it, and hit that subscribe button so you get notified of future episodes of the show. Hope you have an amazing day. We'll talk to you soon.